First of all, David, how are you fixed team-wise for tomorrow?
All good. We've had a really good training week. Not really had many of them this season. When you think about the amount of fixtures we've played and then the international break with so many players going away, it's probably been the first real week where everybody's been on the grass together. And then with the window closing, the squad being the squad. So I think from that point of view, it's been a really good week. Fitness-wise, everybody's came through. Everyone's in good place. The ones who missed a game last week, obviously Miguel missed a game. We're returning a little bit later. He's trained all week and absolutely fine. So no, we're all looking forward to a real tough test, but a brilliant game to look forward to.
What do you expect at Ibrox tomorrow, apart from a tough fixture? Because there's been a lot of focus regarding the noise that's going on around Ibrox at the moment, and what's the difficulty in you and the rest of the team actually just pushing that to the side?
I think the big thing is to ignore the noise, because one thing, this challenge and test is a real difficult one. We know that. The players they've got, experienced manager, it will be a really difficult game. We need to be at our absolute best, as we've done already and demonstrated going away in Europe this season, and away performances have been very good. It needs to be that again. And all I can focus on is the things I can control, which is making sure I get a game plan, get the players ready to go into the game, to give them as much confidence and belief as possible to get into the next round of the Cup, regardless of who the opponent is. What's going on with opposition or what's been said to be going on with opposition is something I can't control. The players certainly can't control that. All we can worry about is how we can sort of turn up and try and give ourselves the best chance to get in the next round.
How much do you use in your game plan the fact that Rangers are under a lot of pressure at the moment and try and turn the crowd against them as quickly as you can?
I think that's very similar in every game. Obviously we went there last season and got a positive result. Going to places where you're heavily outnumbered at big clubs and you are the underdog going into the game, you want to try and quieten the crowd as much as possible. That has to be the game plan. The same if anyone comes to Easter Road as a away team, you want to try and quieten the crowd down. So that doesn't change. I know that the extra noise that's going around the game at the minute, but what I've been very quick to remind the players, and I keep saying it to them, is we still need to be at our very best to get a result. They're not a bad side at all. They're going through adversity at the moment. That can very quickly change. We've seen how that works. We've seen the level of players that they've got, and I think we need to guard against that. So we need to be our very best. If we were to go through, it's because we've been very good on the day, and that's what we need to focus on.
Do you have a bit of sympathy for Russell Martin?
100%. It's listen, as a manager though, we all know it's a really difficult job at any time, at any level. You're judged on results naturally, and you're responsible for results. I've very different in terms of clubs and everything else. It comes with it, you can only affect what you're dealing with, but it can be lonely, it can be difficult, really difficult time. So from that point of view, yes, but we all know, we all sign up to that. We all know that's very much part of the job and how quickly it can change in both directions.
In terms of your players know how to win, and you did it last season. Do you go with a positive mindset in terms of, we can do this, and there's proof? Do you look back at what happened last year?
Yeah, but it's two different teams, different manager, different style. Our squad's slightly different. Still got a lot of players that have played in the game before though. But I do think that is the word you said there, that was belief. I say that to players all the time. Going to places like Rangers and Celtic and places where it is notoriously harder to get a result, you need to go there and believe you can do it. I said it to the players going away in Europe, going away to Partizan, going away to Michelin, going over there, believing you deserve to be there and able to get a result. Because if you don't genuinely believe it as a group, then it definitely won't happen. You all need to be on the same page, you all need to be pulling in the same direction, and that's something that our squad's demonstrated well this season and for large periods last season. But it doesn't make the challenge any easier, definitely not. But it is a game where when you come to the club, opportunity to try and win a cup, and we are one game away, if we can get through this one, to get into Hampden, semi-final, 3 games away for potentially winning a trophy. Now the draw doesn't come any harder. It's a really difficult draw for us away from home, and the quarter-final at Ibrox is a really tough test. But it's 90 minutes of football minimum to try and get in the next round.
How much do you say to your players, you played well this season, but I'm looking for a bit more, I'm looking for those wins, because that's one thing that hasn't come? Yeah,
I think it's a real fine balance. I think that's about having a standard as a group and honesty within the group and accountability right across the board. You're rightly to touch on the level of performance at times has been exceptional at times, for as I've seen, for the players. The actual results haven't always reflected the level of performance at times. There has been areas within it where we've let ourselves down, and that's areas we need to improve on, whether that be conceding goals, timing the goals, what that looks like, but also being more clinical. I'd be a lot more concerned. I think we're 27 shots against Dundee United. which shows you how the game went, because they could have been 6-6. I think I said that after the game. So then we always go over every game to make sure we're always improving and learning from what we've been doing. Away form's been good, but that doesn't mean that you can just turn up and expect it to be good all the time. Why was your away form good? What did you do well in the game? And I think that's something that, you know, we're always looking at. How can we improve the players? That's our job. If coaches and the players are always, you know, striving to get better all the time as well.
When we did a little bit on the side, I spoke to Derry Martindale during the week about VAR, and I think it was half joking but half serious that AI could be taking over games. Your thoughts on that? And AI, do you use AI?
I thought we were going to get through a week here without having to speak about VAR. No, we nearly got there, Brian. We nearly got there at the end.
Do you use AI in looking ahead at games?
Oh, I think it's definitely something. It's a tool that's becoming more and more prominent now. I think in the way the world goes, not just in football but in general. It's something we all need to be wary of or mindful of and use it. If other people are using it, can you get it to that point? I don't think it's quite taken over in terms of the football side to it at the moment. I'm sure it's progressing all the time. I don't think it can be determined the outcome of the games quite yet. I hope not anyway. But that's probably a question for later down the road. In terms of the VAR stuff that, you know, a lot's been said and made about it in recent weeks, I still stick by it, the whole reason for it and why we've got it is to try and improve the product. And the accountability that works. And I think the people are coming out and saying, you know, when we got it wrong, here's where we got it wrong. Everybody's trying to do the right things and trying to move the game forward. And then going into the game tomorrow, you know, top referee, top VAR people looking at it. So I've got no concerns over it. We just need to make sure, as I say, everyone keeps trying to improve, and that's my job from a football point of view and results based, and the referees are very much accountable for their job.
A lot of people look at this Rangers team and think that they're there for the taking. Do you feel that sort of pressure, that there's maybe a little bit of expectation on you and your players to do a job on Rangers?
I think if you just look, as I've already just touched, it goes right back to the very start of the conversation here, which was, this is a real tough test regardless, at any stage, whatever the form table is and what it looks like. Historically, going to Ibrox is a really tough place, and it isn't going to be any easier tomorrow. It's a real difficult one. You've got a lot of players. If you look at them, well, I can't control them obviously, but they'll be hurting, they're desperate to turn it round, so that's all things we need to be wary of as well, but they're also very good players. So the expectation and things that have come in, is a lot of that's been built up because of how successful we were last season, and that was the message to the players on day one, returning this season, that you know, for how well we were, how good we done last season and how well we finished the season, the run we were on, the expectation and the noise starts to grow around the football club. Can you go and then reproduce that? But it was always going to be really difficult because everybody else is trying to improve as well. There's a lot more finance in the league, there's new managers in the league with new ideas, and everybody's trying to push it forward. And I do think the league's improved again this season already, for what I've seen in the early parts of it. Every team is looking to improve, and you can see that with how tight the league is already after so many draws. Teams, you know, it's hard to win games of football. We're finding that at the minute, and tomorrow will be exactly the same. The slight difference being a cup tie, so it gets settled on the night, so you can, you know, all the excitement that comes with going there and trying to get in the next round of the cup.
You mentioned Hampden earlier there. Do you use some of your fun memories of going to the National Stadium to give the team that little bit extra motivation heading into cup ties?
I think it can be used as that. If some players, especially new players that have played, maybe haven't had the opportunity to play at the National Stadium before, which isn't something that happens every week in your career, certainly not. So you need to relish the opportunities, and I also think it can be used as that extra incentive, as you've just touched on, that you're one game away from Hampden into a neutral venue, semi-final of the competition. And I go back to the very start, it's why when you come to a club like Hibs, there is a genuine opportunity to try and win something, and at this moment in time we're 3 games away from winning a trophy, 1 game away from a semi-final regardless of the opposition, and it's up to us to try and you know, take as much as we can and go there with a game plan to try and get in the next round.
How big an indication of tomorrow's performance and result, or how much will that be on, you know, how far the team's come?
I think when you look at, you're getting that every single week. So I think every week you're always looking at, you're only as good as your last game, people will say all the time as well. So it's very much how we've demonstrated how things can change really quickly in a real positive way. But you always have to guard against complacency. You need to guard against it going the other way, because as I've just touched on, the level of competition and the standard of the league and the players and that you play against every week, we need to be at our very best all the time. So I think it is great that people are talking about Hibs going there and getting a result, because yes, we did do it last season. Everything else that comes with it doesn't make it any easier, as I keep touching on. But it is also an opportunity and a great game as a player. These are the games you want to go and test yourself against, you know, a top team, a brilliant stadium to go and play in as well. I say that all the time, you know, a real traditional stadium that's, you know, one of the top ones in Scotland to go and play in. And as a player, they should all be looking forward to it.
And just touching back on Rangers, Russell Martin's under great pressure at the moment. You faced similar pressure just under a year ago. Can you sympathise with how challenging his job is at the moment?
I think it's always challenging, even when you know, it's a very different pressure, but the pressure's on every single week. It's what we sign up to as managers, rather than, you know, when you might work in business, whatever line of work you work in, sometimes it's quarterly, you get your results, yearly, whatever that looks like, we get our result every week, once a week at 5:15, and it's you've either been really good or really poor, and that's the nature of the beast and what we sign up to every single week. It's also why, certainly why I do it, I enjoy the pressure, I enjoy the thrill that comes with that. But it can be challenging. It can be tough on, you know, personal life as well, and you never really want it to affect that. As long as it stays professional and everybody's, you know, trying to do the right things, you can always be respectful of that, because everyone, same in football, everybody's got an opinion and everyone's got the way in which they believe it should be done. And I'm sure Russell's got his beliefs in the way he wants it to be moving forward and how he believes he can turn it around.
You played alongside James Keating in a really happy moment for you, you know, the 2016 Cup final. What's your reaction to the news today that he's been convicted and has been sentenced for money laundering?
I've not got any comment on that. That's just news to me this morning. I'm not aware of it. No, was that on social media or something? Was it? Or? I have no idea. I don't really want to comment on that if that's possible, because I don't know anything about it. So all I can remember with Keats is, obviously, as you say, was part of a very special group of players that have a special moment in my life. But apart from that, that was purely professional reasons.
David, what's your take on Rangers' start to the season and the situation there at the moment? Have you been surprised by how things have gone?
From our point of view, for us,
just in general, just your view on how they've started the season, whether it's been a surprise.
How they've started the season?
Yeah.
No, I think, listen, I can only comment on what I'm so concentrated on what we're doing all the time. And one thing I can't do is worry about other people and what teams are doing, and I can't control what happens at any other club. So my full focus is on that. I'll go back to it. They've got really good players. They've got a very experienced manager who's managed at a very high level. So it can change very quickly. Demonstrated that. We've done that personally ourselves. Demonstrated that last season, how quickly it can change and then what that looks like. So I think nothing surprises me in football. So when you're saying I'm not surprised about it, nothing really does. I think you always need to be wary of that. And it also shows, and I've said that a long time now, that the product in Scotland is very good. It's getting better all the time. You know, the level of athletes that are playing in it, the standard within it means that, you know, the golf maybe is getting smaller. People talk about the golf in Scottish football. People talk about Rangers and Celtic all the time, but it shows, you know, it's getting more and more competitive all the time, which can only be a good thing for Scottish football.
Right.